Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go ahead and take a look at the Hope Cruiser. So the Hope Cruiser is the next ship in my cruiser series, which means that this is a Class B ship that's designed for long-range missions. You should be able to go out for an extended period of time, accomplish whatever you're trying to do, and then return home. Now, as a cruiser, this does have to meet certain minimum requirements. This includes a 27 light year jump range, at least 500 fuel, at least 2,000 cargo, a cruise capacity of 6 or more, and be able to sleep 8 or more people, along with a cargo hold, armory, and an infirmary. The Hope Cruiser exceeds most of that, especially in sleeping. With 39 beds on board, this ship is designed not just for you to go ahead and, deploy a small force, but instead so that way you can put entire companies on the ground. So, enough talking about it. Let's go ahead and take a tour. So, despite it having so much space aboard, the layout for the ship is still fairly simple. You can see that we are starting immediately in the armory. Forward of that, we have the infirmary and our docker. Coming back from the armory, we have a companionway, and this is the central point for the entire ship. Everything else branches out from here. So let's go ahead and look at the wings first. So each of these wings is identical, and we have 1, 2, 3, and if I can jump right, and 4 Hope Tech all-in-ones. And then we also have a single Hope Tech living quarters. So that means that we have 18 beds on this wing, and this wing is identical with another 1, 2, 3, and 4 all-in-ones, and 1 more living quarters. Now, unless my math fails me, 18 plus 18 I do believe is 36. Don't worry, my math might be failing me. Coming down here, we find ourselves in another Hope Tech living quarters. And that gives us 2 more beds, bringing us up to 38. In the back of the living quarters, we have our mess hall, which with bench seating for up to 16, and then table seating for another 4. So we can feed half the crew at the time. Here's our cooking station. Got 1, 2, 3, looks like freezers and 3 fridges, or vice versa, who knows. And then a second galley over here. And then right over here, we have the crew relaxation area, where 5 or so people can get together and watch a movie or whatever on a long voyage. Moving forward, we have a 2x3 or 3x2, whichever one it is, cargo hull on each side. And then we go up the ladder. 1, 2. All right, and here we are in another companionway. And this is leading us into the battle stations. So this is the Hope Tech battle stations. Nice big navigation console here. Looks like plenty of computing power as well. We'll ignore that ladder for a moment as we come on over here and we find ourselves in the HopeTech computer core. Coming back to that ladder, if we jump up here, we find ourselves in the HopeTech captain's quarters, and this gives us our 39th bed. So, if you need to go ahead and take a very large crew to a distant planet, this could be the ship for you. Finally, at the top of this ladder, okay, fine. I will climb the ladder like a pleb. Ugh. Oh well. Occasionally you must make sacrifices, right? And there we go. On the 4th floor, we are now in the HopeTech Overseer Bridge. And that is the interior tour for the ship. So now let's see if I can get back down. There we go. With the interior tour done, let's come on over here now and see how the ship is built. And once we are done, we'll go ahead and test it in Serpentis. Alright, so as always, the first thing to do is get our colors in our palette. You can see I went with a blue, gold, and then a teal scheme. And now that we've done that, I'm going to select everything and delete it. Alrighty, so how do we build this ship? First off, we're going to go ahead and grab our landing bay. Then we are going to go ahead and grab our armory. Note the armory is actually set back like this. So the front of the armory is over the back of the landing bay. Then we're going to go ahead and grab our infirmary. And then since we're here, we might as well just go ahead and slap that docker on. On the underside of the armory here, let's go ahead and grab the living quarters. Then we will go ahead and grab the HopeTech cargo hull 3x2. And we are placing one of those on each side of the ship. Then off the back of the living quarters, we'll grab the mess hall 2x3, shift it to be centered. Then we are going to go ahead and right here, grab a companionway. And then we are going to go ahead and grab another companionway. And then off the back of the top companionway, we are going to go ahead and grab our battle stations. And then off the side, we'll just grab a hab and we're going to turn that into the computer core. And then we will copy that up here and center it and convert that to the captain's quarters. Then off each side here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a HopeTech hab cross brace. And then off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and put together the hab modules. So we want to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and convert this one on over to the living quarters. So you can see the layout right there. And then we're going to select all and copy and bring this over here. And then we're going to select all and place that right there at the end of the spine or cross brace. You will note here that one of the things that I've done with this is, well, it is possible that it would go ahead and put a ladder down from the armory, and then you'd have to go back up the companionway. It doesn't tend to do that, but that is the only spot on this ship where there's some question of where we would end up with the doors. And if that was truly a concern, I could very easily remove this living quarters and instead go ahead and put a companionway down right here. And that would mean that we could go ahead and have a guaranteed access. But this one little area is the only spot where the game could possibly change its mind on how you're navigating these habs. And that's how you can very easily go ahead without needing to do constant testing to see what it's doing and make a setup where you have dictated the exact pathing. Now, on top of this companionway, let's go ahead and stick our cockpit, which is the Overseer 400 bridge, and then that is it for the habitable portions of this ship. Now, the one thing I am going to throw out here is that if you prefer the Armstrong or Commander style bridge, you could very easily just go ahead and set one in right here, and then possibly swap this companionway out here for one of the fuselage companionways. As that would be a perfectly acceptable thing to do, and you could very easily make that work. All right, so enough talking about habs. Let's now go ahead and talk about our reactors and grav drives. So between this 2x3 and then the 2x2 and 2x1 here, we have 6 spaces here, and we're going to go ahead and basically fill in this sandwich with mechanical components. So first off, I will grab my reactor, which is of course the 104DS mag inertial, and then I will grab my grav drive, which is going to be the Aurora 13G grav drive. That gives us a 33 grav jump thrust. Then in between, for fuel, I have 2 500T HE3 tanks. Now this does only give us 420 fuel, and usually I'm looking for 500 for my cruisers. However, if I really wanted to do that, I could go ahead and replace the forward one of these with 2 H10 Atlas tanks. Didn't consider that to be all that important on this build, and I just said I am close enough. Next, let's go ahead and grab my engines. Now this ship is using 4 SAE 5660s, and we're placing one on each side of the fuel in the sandwich, and then one in the center of each of these kind of like hab pods. All right, there we have it. Now the only thing that is giving us an error is our lack of landing gear. So for this ship, I'm going to go ahead one, two, three, and let's copy this on over here. So I'm only using the Hope 6 landing gear on this ship. So 3, 6, and then let's see how much more I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, So I need to put another 6 landing gear on here. So how am I going to do that? Well, let's see here. I can probably go ahead and put 2 more there. And then 1 more right there. And then on this side, can place 1 right there. One right there. And 1 right there. Alright, that looks good enough to me. Alrighty, so I will note that there is a small gap right here. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and slap my shield. So I'm using the 28T because that is the best Class B shield you can get. Alright, next up, right along here, there's these 4 spots under the cross brace and the forward part of these berths. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and place 4 Apollo 2030 cargos. Each of these give me 1,000 cargo capacity for a total of 4,340 before skills. Alrighty then. So that is basically the entire ship before we start adding structural components. Speaking of which, let's start adding those now. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a nose B there, and then a nose A across the front of the cargo hulls. And then over here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a Hope Tech thruster. Add a Hope Tech thruster. And we'll also add some nose Bs on the front of that. Then I'm going to spin around to the back and add a bunch more nose Bs. Now, one of the things that I do want to note here is that when I was originally building this ship, I am using a mod that raises the ship parts cap. The base parts cap for the game is 130 pieces. I was doing stuff like this, and then I was also adding some portholes and all that other fun stuff. And then when I went back to revisit the ship, I discovered that I was exceeding that parts cap. Not a problem when my mod lets me, though that was not the point of me getting that mod. But to make sure that anyone could build this ship, I went back and removed pieces until I was under that parts cap. Now, if you start running into the parts cap yourself, just take some of these nose Bs and just delete them. That's probably the best thing that you can do. All that being said, I would caution you from going ahead and sticking portholes here, because if you stick a porthole on the back of one of these all-in-ones, it will remove 2 of the beds. Now, with how many beds this ship has, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but it is just something that you should be aware of. Alright, so that's all my nose Bs. You can see I left off a nose B on the inners of the all-in-ones, and there's nothing on the center of the top 2x3 or the bottom 2x3 sections. Then on the front, I put the thrusters on the outside, nose Bs on the living quarters, and then 1 on the center companionway. And that is it. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start adding some other pieces. First off, I'm going to start with the Hope Tech Cap Bs. Now, if you are not familiar with these, they are basically just like the Hope Tech Caps. However, they have a raised section in the middle that brings us to the same level as a normal HAB. And there is an attachment point on the top of that. All right, there we go. So I'm placing 6 of those down, 2 on the cargo halls, and then 1 at the back of the living quarters. All right, next, let's go ahead and start putting some caps on. All right, so I am putting the cap A4s all over the place. And then on the outer all-in-ones, I'm taking the cap A's and just flipping them to be inwards. And then behind on the cargo hulls, I'm going ahead and getting the cap A mids. All right. And then I'm also going ahead flipping a cap A in front of the nose B here. All right, and that is all of my caps. Alrighty, next up, over each of the HAB cross braces, I'm placing a HopeTech radiator. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a HopeTech Pipes 4, and I'm going to stick the Pipes 4 on top of each of these Cap B mids. And then on the backs of those, I'm going to go ahead and grab the HopeTech Pipes A, except for where I have the radiators. And you can see that should have one more there. And then it is time to go ahead and cap the back of all of that. And then place one more over the cockpit. And there we go. That is all of my structural elements. Hello, kitty cat. All right. So at this point, all that I have left is my weapons. Now, as always, you can use whatever weapons you so desire. However, for this ship, I decided to go with 3 Eradicator 75 auto-neutron turrets. There we go. And placed like so. And then I am also going ahead and using 4 PBO 175 auto helion beams. And then I'm also using 3 Exterminator 95. And you can stick these literally wherever you want, but for this last one, I'm going to go ahead and stick it on top of the bridge and then flip the pipes into place. And there you have it. So, one last thing to do, and that is to paint the ship. There we go. And here you can see the stats with skills. And let's go ahead and head on out to Serpentis. adjust my power settings a little bit, and then drop power from my engines so that way I can jump on out to Serpentis. And my trusty co-pilot is here to help me. More like meow at me because, you know, she can. Give it a minute to see if anybody shows up. Oh, there we go. And eventually he will stop boosting. There we go. Alright. And a prophecy too. And I will make a quick note of that. If you are wanting to capture ships, do not use turret weaponry. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a quick minute to have our engines repair. Don't worry, the cat won't mind as long as I pet the entire time. Yeah. Alrighty. Engines are at full power again, so let's go ahead and hit up this hostile activity. And looks like I have 4 targets, including a Hem 3. Alright, so there's a Hem 3. Did you know, Kat, that it is harder to pilot when you are assisting? Ow! Woo! I'm going to blame that on the cat, who was very insistent that I pet instead of play. Clearly not because I am bad at this game. Nope. It's all this cat's fault, right? Alright. Alright. One down. And they boosted after me. And there's enough elite ships there that I should probably boost away. Ooh. And this is not looking good for me. Oh boy. Can I blame you for that one again, Cat? Alright, Alright, so clearly the correct answer for this engagement is to get a range and start kiting. Alright. We've got a Dirge 3. A Hem. A Hem 3. Alright, I'm going to turn around, and then I'm going to slow down to about 140. See if they can catch up. Ah, and this is Dirge 3. It's a lot closer. There we go. And I think they should have enough space between them, so we can go ahead and dive on in now. Alright. And then we have our last Dirge 3. And there we go. Alrighty then. So, this is the kind of encounter that you don't get all that often, but it's probably the most dangerous one where you get um, 3 or 4 enemy ships that are, rank 2 or rank 3. So that means that their levels are in like the 50s to 60s. And if you're just looking at pure numbers, it's sometimes a little surprising because that can go from an encounter that is extraordinarily easy to, well, like this one where I died a couple times. So, anyways, if you watched all the way to the end and listened to all my ranting, thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. And otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, kitty. Yeah. Let's go get you some food.